want to be too specific with details here, but I'm sure you'll understand why I'm wise to being a bit paranoid by the end of this. I've been into urban exploring, or urbex as people are calling it these days, for just as long as I can remember. I think it all stems from being an extreme introvert. How when other kids were playing together on jungle gyms and swing sets, I preferred being off on my own, exploring some hidden corner of the park or wherever we were. By the time I was a teenager, I was cracking bigger and bigger targets, traveling across town on my bike on weekends to tag derelicts with a can of spray paint. Then in my 20s, I was traveling across the Northeast to hit up some classics, as well as some lesser-known derps that hadn't been scouted out all that well. But I definitely had 2 or 3 haunts in my hometown I'd hit up once or twice a year, just to see how they were progressing, so to speak. It's more like degressing actually, but you get my point. Buildings would accumulate filth, become home to animals, maybe people. You'd get graffiti artists coming in and out. It was nice seeing them age. Of all the places I'd thought I'd come closest to losing my life, it definitely wasn't in my local Toads. I knew them like the back of my hand, and they were my favorite because they were relatively safe. But anyway, on with the story. I'm wandering around this big old industrial complex, marveling at how Mother Nature seemed to be slowly taking it back, one cracked paving slab at a time. I stopped to eat some sandwiches I'd packed with me, sitting up in the office of an old factory that looked over the shop floor. All the glass was smashed out, and I'm just sitting in the filthy old chair trying to eat as cleanly as possible when I suddenly begin to hear voices. At first, I start to worry, thinking it might be security or even the cops. I didn't think the place had any active cameras, or that I'd been spotted by anyone on duty, so I'm kinda angry at myself for slipping, at least until I hear the voices getting louder and louder. They didn't sound like cops at all, but they were definitely headed into the building that I was in. The only question was, what were they doing there? But unfortunately for me, it wasn't long before I found out. This isn't exactly what they said, just a close approximation from memory, but here it goes. Guy 1. I'm telling you, man, this is bad news. They got him with 12 keys and he's gonna roll on us. Guy 2. We can get him county, that's not the problem. It's the names he drops between now and then, the ones that can get back to us. Guy 1. But do we even know who he's named? We can't just rub out 6 guys assuming they're all gonna turn states. Guy 2. We don't have a choice. Guy 3. He's right. There are almost $500,000 at stake here. We can't afford to take chances. Everyone has to go. Guy 1. Wait. You gotta be kidding me. We're gonna rub out 6 of our own guys? Guy 3. You heard what I said. Get it done. Anyone who knows, get it done. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Some kind of murderous criminal conspiracy, possibly over drugs or other illegal imports, and it was going down just meters away from me. Now try to think of the worst thing that could possibly happen at that point. Outside of the world getting hit by an asteroid, what's the one thing you wouldn't want to happen in that situation? For those of you that answered, my phone suddenly going off, then ding ding ding, right answer. Because right as these guys were about to leave, I got a call. I didn't even see who it was. I just mashed the lower volume button to silence the ringtone, then heard, "Who's that? Who's there?" before the sound of running. I ran harder and faster than I ever had in my life, and if it wasn't for the fact that I knew the place like the back of my hand, I might not be here telling you all this today. I was so scared that I didn't even go home that night. I just went to another of my favorite Toads and hung out there until morning, only leaving when I was certain that I wasn't being followed. In retrospect, I don't think they saw my face or anything, and they probably thought I was an undercover narc or something, I don't know. But nothing ever came of the incident, and I had no idea who the guys were to be able to follow their case in the news or whatever. It was definitely the scariest thing that's ever happened to me while urbexing though, and it's taught me to, overall, expect the unexpected.